I love late summer and early fall for the weather, for the smells, for the blackberries. I pick batches and batches, and then I freeze them. So here are the blackberries after they've been frozen. They're just like little marbles. Look at these. They've been out of the freezer about a minute, and they're frosty. I think they're just a piece of artwork. And frozen blackberries are a great treat for kids. It's almost like a popsicle, and it's crunchy, and if they're ripe and frozen, it's a treat. Now that they're out of the freezer, you bag them up into Ziploc bags and freeze them for when you're going to use them. By freezing them on a cookie sheet or in a pan like this, they don't stick together, and then you don't have a big glob of ice. So this one Ziploc gallon bag will make about one pie. And now it's back in the freezer for you. Wild blackberries are at their peak right now in the Northwest, so we've been picking them, and I've got a bowl of them to use in a recipe I call Blackberry Crumble. It's not a pie, because we do low carb, no crust. It's not a cobbler, still that has flour in it. This is a crumble, and you'll see why I call it a crumble. First of all, we're going to use almond flour, 1.5 cups. I've mixed in here, into this 1.5 cups of almond flour, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour and 1 tablespoon of stevia. That's that sweetener that's a real natural pretend sugar. And I use it very rarely, but this is going to be a dessert, which we don't have dessert maybe once a month. So I'm going to put that in my bowl. And that's been mixed up, the coconut flour, the stevia, and the almond flour. And I did put a little dash of salt. Then I'm going to add 1/2 cup of coconut oil. This is going to be real short because it's going to have a lot of fat compared to the flour in here. But that's what makes it crumbly and delicious. I'm going to mix that all up. And when you use coconut flour, it can look runny at first, but then it starts getting thick because the coconut flour has so much fiber in it, and it just sucks up all the liquid, which in this case it's sucking up the fat. So not only is it low carb and there's no white flour in it, there's no gluten in it. So those who are gluten intolerant can have this. Okay, as you can see, it's not set up enough. So it should be 2 cups of coconut flour. So I'm going to add another 1/2 cup. And then you'll see it'll be the right consistency. I'm sorry. Yep, that's it. 2 cups of almond flour, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, and 1 tablespoon of stevia, and a dash of salt. So now you can see this is the consistency you want. It's thick like cold oatmeal. I'm using a 9-inch pie plate. Does this distort me at all? This is the size we're making because I'm going to put in like 2 quarts of berries. So I'm putting half of the mixture I made with the coconut flour and the almond flour. And see, we don't get to roll out anything because you have to have flour to roll out stuff because of the gluten in it, I think. And so we have to do it this way. It's just different. And you just have to spread it till it covers. I just make sure it covers the bottom. I don't try to get it up on the sides. I quit a long time ago trying to make stuff look like a pie because I got frustrated. You can't do it, so that's why I'm calling it a crumble. The coconut flour that you put in has some sweet in it too, so this is going to be totally sweet enough. And once you've been off of sugar for a while, it's really sweet. Now I'm going to take my berries, and I'm adding to the berries 1 tablespoon of stevia, that sweetener, 1 tablespoon coconut flour, and 1 tablespoon almond flour. I'm just going to put it over the berries. And then just kind of coat them up. And then I'm going to dump the berries on top of the bottom batter. Now, because there's so much coconut oil in our batter, it's gonna, in the oven when it bakes, it's gonna kind of fry, and it makes really crunchy, yummy crumble. So I like to use my hands. I want to get it, you just kind of strudel it. You don't make a pie top because you can't roll this out. You just kind of strudel this stuff over it, and just all these little blobs aren't going to stick together, but it makes a real interesting, beautiful presentation when it comes out of the oven. You'll see, but you don't get to have any, not until you fix it yourself. Nellie, shut up. Okay. You know, one of the best ways to teach is to expose your mistakes. I forgot to turn the oven on. You want it on 400, so you want to preheat it to 400, which I'm going to do right now so we can cook this thing. 400. So this Blackberry crumble is ready to put in the oven. 400 for about 45 minutes. And you can keep check it at 40 minutes to see it'll all brown up, the bottom will brown up, and then you'll see. We'll take it out of the oven when it's done. I don't know the exact count of carbohydrates in this crumble, but I'm guessing you get about 6 carbohydrates in a serving. That's not very many when you're going to have a dessert.